course. I was born ready.
All right. Thanks for checking out Rock and Roll Medicine. I have Adrian Vandenberg here with me. If you don't know, he's played in Vandenberg and Whitesnake. I didn't realize, we'll start in, that you were in Whitesnake for 13 years. Is it 13?
It was a long and great period, of course, as you imagine.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is, like, when I first heard Vandenberg, early 80s, I didn't realize that you went from Vandenberg to Whitesnake until it dawned on me who you were exactly when they shuffle, I guess you'd say, right? Flows. So, because then you had all these band members, including Rudy Sarzo and Tommy Aldridge, and this complete band. What made you decide to jump from doing Vandenberg to Whitesnake?
It was it felt quite natural, actually, as funny as it may sound, because David had approached me a couple of times before, but the timing was always not right, because I was recording the first album with Vandenberg. First time he asked, and the second time I was recording the second album of Vandenberg, and then the third time I was doing really well with the band, and there was something else going on. So in 1986, I got a call from John Kalodner, who was A&R manager at Geffen Records, and he said he heard that I got rid of the contract with Atlantic that Vandenberg had, and he asked me if I was willing to come over to LA to talk about a new contract for Vandenberg, which of course was good timing. So I went to LA.
Yeah.
I talked to John, and he said, "Well, I haven't been quite honest. I actually have more. I have another suggestion for you as well. The first idea for him was to put a new lineup for Vandenberg together with super musicians from LA or whatever, and that was a possibility. And the second one was he said, I would really like you to join Whitesnake. And that sounded familiar, of course, because David had approached me before. I said, well, I need 1 or 2 days to think about it, because I needed to take care of a lot of things in order to be able to do that, of course. And he said, well, while you're here, would you be willing to make a new guitar arrangement for Here We Go Again and record a solo?
Your internet's cutting out.
Yeah, internet's a little difficult. Let me see if there's a way that we can take care of it. Maybe this is better, I hope. I don't know.
So far.
Yeah, that's the way it is. But so I said, yeah, of course, because I thought it was a great song. I was touring in England when the first version of Here I Go Again came out, and I always thought it was amazing, So it was a pleasure and an honor to do that. And I decided, what, if there will have to be a new lineup for Vandenberg put together, I'm never going to be able, or Kalodner would never be able to find a singer of David's caliber. As you all know, David is one of the best rockers that have ever been around. There's not many voices like that. So I thought I might as well join David. We've been talking about it for years now, and so I went ahead and we did it.
Yeah, and how much did that change your life?
A lot. I ended up spending most of the 12 years after that in the States, and touring the world. It's like a musician's dream, I was living the dream, so to speak, of most musicians. Touring the world in the biggest arenas and stadiums, and touring countries like Japan, South America, Russia. Well, I don't think we're ever going to be able to tour Russia again the way it looks.
Not at the moment.
So I'm really fortunate, and those were amazing years. And I'm still in touch with David, and with Rudy, who's a good friend of mine, and Denny Spinks Tommy Ulrich, all those guys. It's just great.
Yeah, I would imagine that just being around those guys, they're all great musicians.
Yeah.
Does that make you better?
Yeah.
Make you work harder?
Definitely, you get inspired by playing with great musicians. And the band I have together right now are world-class musicians. And I got just as inspired playing with them than what I did with Rudy and Tommy. All those guys are great. And there's so many great musicians out there that never got a chance to go out and experience the stuff that I'm so fortunate to experience, It doesn't a day go by.
Yeah.
Doesn't a day go by that I don't realize that.
For sure. When first time I saw you in 1987, I don't know if you remember, it was in Oakland, California at Day on the Green, and you guys opened for Motley Crue, and Poison was on the bill, and Jet Boy was on the bill. And that was my second concert, and it was a big one, right?
Oh, man.
And so I was just enamored with everything that was going on, because it's a big venue, right? Yeah. So, and I don't know the timeline. Was that one of the biggest that you played at that time?
Yeah.
As far as crowd size,
I think the biggest one may have been in the Dallas Stadium. What was the festival? That was the very first show we did, and it was like 120,000 people or something.
Oh, wow.
That's probably the biggest show I've ever done.
Was that like a Texas Jam type thing or something?
Texas Jam, yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, because that one was pretty big as well. I think Aerosmith was on that bill and a few others, but of course I didn't go to that one. But I've seen Whitesnake a couple times and never, I would say, never disappoint.
Oh, great.
You know. And this is in the 80s when I did see you. It's been a while since I've seen any version of the band otherwise. But so jumping forward, we'll jump forward a little bit. You got a new album out called Sin, and the first two tracks are they're really good. I mean, it takes me back, and the guitar playing is really well done. Your vocalist is amazing as well. So where'd you find these guys to come up with this album?
How I came up with this album, you mean?
Yeah, the new album.
Yeah, it's like I mentioned before, I'm a lucky guy. I pick up my guitar or I sit behind the piano, but usually my guitar, and it doesn't take longer than 5 minutes, or some riff pops in my mind, and it kind of happens, and and then I record it on my iPhone to make sure that I don't lose it, and and then like a chorus pops in my head or a verse or whatever, and so at some point I listen back to all the stuff that I've recorded on my iPhone, and I get to the phase where I'm gonna make a song out of those elements, and that's how it works for me. It's I always try not to overthink it too much because I don't want to jinx it, because it keeps coming in naturally, and I'm a lucky guy,
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to my brother, and I was telling him that I was gonna interview you and whatnot, and he had a couple questions for you. He wanted to know, when you record, do you use the same equipment you do on the live production you do as you do, say, your same guitars, same pedals, everything like that?
Yeah, I like to record. I like to go as much as I can right straight into the amp, especially when I record live. I do like a little bit of delay on it, and on a clean sound, a little bit of compression. But that's about it. I'm a purist. I'm old school, and I've always loved the sound of the guitar straight into a good amp, whether it's a Marshall or a Bogner or a Soldano or whatever, and crank it. And to my knowledge, the best guitar sounds that we all love are done like that, whether it was Eddie Van Halen or Brian May or Leslie West. It's usually like this interplay between a great tube amp and a great guitar, and then most of it comes out of your fingers anyway. I play with my nails.
Oh, okay.
Since I had the reason why I couldn't record on slip of a tongue was resulting from a car crash that I had in the early 80s. I found out in 1999, actually, what it was. So slowly but surely, it became harder to hold a pick and play it with fast movements. And at the time when we were recording Slip of a Tongue, one day to another, suddenly it felt like somebody was holding my wrist. So I couldn't play on that album, but I wrote the songs together with David. So it was quite a frustrating situation. But over the years, the last couple of years, I'm teaching myself to use my nails as a pick, because apparently for the nerves between your brain and your index finger and your thumb, because of those neck hernias that I developed through that whiplash at the time, they're pressing against the nerves that run the index finger and the thumb. So I started realizing that it's easier for me to make those movements without the pick in it. So I'm perfecting to record my.
Interesting. So, did your sound change at all?
Yeah, not a lot, because I still it would be easier to play with the flesh of your fingers, probably like people like Richie Kotzen do and Matteo Macuso. Mm-hmm. But for me, I want to hear that click of hitting the string, and I can't do that with my nails, and that's why I'm using my nails.
Gotcha. So how did you come up with your sound?
You mean to play with my nails?
Or just your sound in general? Because usually you can tell when a guitar player starts playing who it is. You know, I can always tell if it's Slash. I can tell, you know, if it's you name it. I mean,
no, that's what I love about like my guitar heroes. You know, I hear 3 notes of Brian May or Eddie Van Halen or Jeff Beck, and I know it's them.
Yeah,
you know?
Angus Young. You know, you can throw them all out.
Case,
you know,
in my case, it probably has to do with first of all with the fact that I never took any lessons. I can't read notes, so I had to figure it all out. And these days, you know, kids can take lessons from anybody on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
So a lot of like your more recent generations, to me, sounds quite similar. It's not like you hear it's like Jeff Beck or Brian May, Eddie Van Halen, Leslie West. You know, all those guys you can instantly recognize.
For sure.
And my style has developed. It had a lot to do, I think, with my sister being a classical concert player, and all the music was always in the house. So I have classical influences in my being, and it gets over the years it got all mixed up with Hendrix and early Clapton and Jeff Beck and all those guys. You know, I always describe it as the people that you admire and that you love to listen to, all leave an echo in the back of your mind. So in the end, you know, it results in your personal style.
Yeah, for sure. So when you started, did you ever think you were going to be a solo or just start your own band? Or was it a hobby, or is it something you really went for?
Yeah, the connection dropped out for a sec there, so I didn't hear the full question.
Like when you first started playing guitar and you formed Vandenberg, was this something as a hobby? Did you think it was going to go far? Were you really like, you know, I'm going to start playing the clubs and then hopefully get picked up, and how did you get picked up?
Well, I already put a band together when I was 13. I wouldn't really call it a band. I was playing it. Yeah, well, actually, we thought we were a band. You know, it must have sounded awful.
Right.
I didn't even have an electric guitar, a proper one. I had a pickup mounted underneath the strings of a Spanish guitar. my first band that really we tried to play with. Those are my lifelong friends that we had a band with. We're still best friends. When we were about 16, we tried to play songs by Hendrix and by Deep Purple, Johnny Winter, Cream, all that stuff. I don't think it was very good at all. Then I had a band that was with slightly better musicians when I was about 18. And when I was 19, I moved to Arnhem to go to art college. And then I joined a professional band. It was a blues band with a piano, led by a piano player. And that band was professional, so I recorded records with them and stuff ever since I was 19. But I've been traveling and doing shows ever since about I was 17 or 18 or something. Doing shows in Germany, in Belgium,
so
in Holland.
You've been doing this, and you're a lifer.
Sorry?
You're a lifer.
Yeah, it still feels like it's a passion that went totally out of hand. I never thought I would be able to make a living out of the kind of music that I want to play. I want to play this kind of rock and blues, blues rock. And in Holland, it's impossible to make a living with it. So I didn't really expect that it would ever happen. And here I am,
For sure. I mean, I was looking at your tour dates. You're on you're in Florida right now, right?
So yeah, you dropped out again. You're back.
So you're on tour right now.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the tour dates, and you're in Florida, right?
Yeah.
And I believe you're on a co-headlining tour with Jeff Tate, correct?
That's right.
How's that going?
Going great. Yesterday with the first show, and it went really, really well. I mean, I got goosebumps for the first time in decades when at the last song the people rose from their seats and they all stood on their feet, and it was like a standing ovation situation. I didn't expect anything like it, and it was serious goosebumps. It was such a great reward. We had a pretty rough week, the first week of the tour, with transportation and all that stuff. It was a rough week, but we got through it, and now we finally have a tour bus, and that makes a difference. We did not have that the first week, and we traveled in a van and in SUV, so it was quite chaotic. But we got
a little cramped.
But at the same time, I love it because it's adventures. You go on the road, you experience things that nobody ever experiences when you're not in a touring band. And I'm fortunate. Sure. It wears you out sometimes, but for me, it's a rewarding kind of being tired because I'm a lucky bastard. I do what I like to do most, and I'm still here. I never ever would have thought, that would happen, and so I'm grateful for every day that I'm on stage and playing with great musicians, playing the kind of rock that I love.
So are the crowds pretty good?
Oh, they're great. Really, really great. It's really, it sounds like a cliche, but it's really heartwarming because I haven't played it for so long, and it's such a warm welcome that I'm really happy.
Yeah. So, what are you playing? Are you playing a lot of the old stuff, the new stuff, and are you throwing a little bit of Whitesnake in between?
Yeah, there's a lot of Whitesnake in this because we're touring under my own name, which a lot of people have been asking. Please, can you play a lot of Whitesnake stuff? So we're playing Still of the Night, Crying in the Rain, Here We Go Again, Is This Love, Fool for Your Lovin',
everything that was on MTV,
all that stuff, and of course a couple of classic Vandenbergs and a couple of new Vandenberg ones. But the set with Jeff Tate is of course a little shorter than we normally do. So it's about, I would say 75, about 60-70% Whitesnake stuff.
Oh,
and I'm fortunate to have a singer who can really deliver the.
Yeah, he sounds like he can. He's got that voice.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
He does.
Where did you find him at?
In Stockholm, Sweden.
Oh, really?
And he's very experienced. I mean, he toured with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra a couple of times, and
okay.
He's been touring the world, with several Scandinavian
And
bands.
I want to round out your band. Trying to who's in your band right now?
Sorry?
Who's in your band right now?
Mats Leven, the vocalist. The drummer is Joey de Boer. Amazing talent. He's like a young Tommy Aldridge. He's 28 years old. He reminds me so much of Tommy. He's got the technique, the double. Oh man, the guy's amazing. And bass player Randy van der Elzen, and the keyboard player Len van der Laak. They're all Dutch guys except the vocalist.
Wow. I mean, how does it feel playing with younger artists?
Great. It's always been like that in jazz and in classical music. Age doesn't matter in this kind of age differences don't matter, because you connect musically, and that's what it's all about. If you look at big jazz bands, they got people in there from 20 all the way up to 80, and the same goes for
that's true.
same goes for classical music. My niece is the daughter of my sister. She is she started doing. She's a classical violinist, very talented, and she's been touring Europe ever since she was 18 with big classical orchestras. And
oh wow,
there's people in there that are like 78.
Yeah, no kidding. So what do you have coming up after this tour? Because this tour ends at like March.
March 17.
Yeah, so
we're ending
March 16th.
Funny enough, we're ending in San Antonio, and that's where it all started with Vandenberg. That's where they picked up Burning Heart for the first time. So you
nice.
could say it's an interesting circle. The radio stations in San Antonio started picking up, and it went really quickly, like an oil spill on the water. The circles went really big within 2-3 weeks, so it became a big hit. And we're still.
So when you play any of the Vandenberg stuff, does it feel dated?
Yeah, we're still playing Burning Heart, of course. People go crazy, they sing it all with us, and we're playing a big MTV song like "Your Love Is in Vain," "Wait Till Shit Hits the Fan," which I wasn't allowed to say on radio at the time, but now it's okay. Now everybody says it, But especially in the headline shows. Now we have a shorter set, but we play a couple of classic ones from early Vandenberg days, a couple from the new ones, and then a lot of Whitesnake stuff, the big Whitesnake songs.
So what's after this tour?
A Dutch tour, 10 shows, Holland is small. And then a number of European festivals, then another Dutch tour, a East European tour, British shows, and we're coming back to the States. And hopefully, it looks like it's going to be the West Coast, but we're going to come back.
Oh, cool!
We're going to come back to the States as soon as possible.
Well, I was looking at some of the dates, and I'm in Kansas City.
All right.
And unfortunately,
Kansas City, here we
the closest you come is like Arkansas or Oklahoma. It's a little far for me at the moment.
Where?
So I'm hoping the next run, you guys will be closer to me.
Where are you at?
I'm in Kansas City.
Oh yeah, all right. There's a Beatles recording of Kansas City, Here I Come. An early Beatles recording. They recorded that one. That's why I sang it.
You broke up a little bit right there.
Okay, but we're definitely going to come back. It's been amazing, and our touring agent was at the show yesterday, and he was extremely enthusiastic, to put it mildly. And he said, "Man, I'm going to jump on it right away, and I'm going to put the next leg of the US tour together."
Awesome. I hope you come closer to my neck of the woods, because I'd love to see you.
I'm sure we will, because this is only the start. It's only a month. There's many more territories to cover, and we will.
Good. Congratulations on the new album and the tour and everything.
Thank you.
And everything that's coming, because I think people are kind of, yearning for some good rock and roll, and
Yeah, I can.
and you just bring it for sure.
I can tell, man, and it's great to keep the Whitesnake flag flying because it doesn't look like David is going to tour again. And
yeah, that's what I heard.
And we're flying the flag. I've been in Whitesnake for 12 years, and I've always been really proud to have been involved in all those great songs. So I'm fortunate that we could cherry pick and put an amazing set together.
Yeah, for sure. I know we're up against it, so I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with me.
Thank you very much.
And